Tony Stewart hasn't driven a NASCAR truck in 21 years. Most people thought he was done with stock car racing forever, but what just got announced is going to change everything you thought you knew about his retirement. Tony Stewart last competed in a NASCAR Truck Series race back in 2005 at Dover Motor Speedway, where he finished second. That's right, we're talking about a 21-year gap since he last strapped into a truck. His last NASCAR race of any kind came in 2016 when he retired from full-time Cup Series competition. Since then, Stewart has been heavily involved in other racing ventures, including his successful stint in NHRA drag racing and his ownership of dirt track facilities. But now, the three-time Cup Series champion is ready to get back behind the wheel in NASCAR. Stewart will be driving the number 25 Ram truck for Kaulig Racing at the Daytona International Speedway in the Fresh from Florida 250. This race is scheduled for Friday, February 13th, 2026, and it serves as the season opener for the Truck Series. The timing couldn't be more perfect because this marks Kaulig Racing's debut season in the Truck Series with Ram as their manufacturer partner. They've created something called the Free Agent Program, which means different drivers will rotate through the number 25 truck throughout the season. And who better to kick off this program than a legend like Tony Stewart? Now, for those of you who might not remember Stewart's history in the Truck Series, let me refresh your memory. He's competed in 6 career Truck Series races and won 2 of them. Both of those victories came at Richmond Raceway in 2002 and 2003 when he was driving for Andy Petree Racing. What makes his return to Daytona even more interesting is that Stewart has never run a Truck Series race on a super speedway before. But when it comes to Daytona in general, this man knows his way around that track better than most drivers ever will. Stewart has 4 Cup Series victories at Daytona throughout his career. While he never managed to win the Daytona 500, which is something that probably still bothers him to this day, he dominated in the Xfinity Series at that track with 7 wins. The last time he competed in a non-Cup Series race at Daytona was back in 2013 when he drove for Richard Childress Racing in what was then called the Nationwide Series. And guess what? He won that race. So the man clearly has the skills and the experience to compete at one of the most challenging tracks in all of NASCAR. What's really fascinating about this announcement is the context surrounding it. Back in November, there were rumors swirling around that Stewart might be involved with Kaulig Racing's new program. But when reporters tried to get confirmation from him, he basically shut down any conversation about NASCAR. He didn't want to talk about it at all. But behind the scenes, discussions were clearly happening, and now we know that those rumors had some serious substance to them. Kaulig Racing is entering a new era with their Truck Series program. They made the difficult decision to pause their Xfinity Series operations, which had been quite competitive and even delivered championship-level performance. Now, they're going all in on the Truck Series with 5 full-time entries. They've already announced Daniel Dye in the number 10 truck, rookie Brendan Queen in the number 12 truck, and Justin Haley in the number 16 truck. They still have a vacancy in the number 14 truck that needs to be filled. But the real excitement is around this free agent program and the number 25 truck. Stewart is just the first big-name driver to be announced, but team owners Matt Kaulig and Chris Rice have promised to make this fun for the fans. They still need to fill 24 more races with the number 25 truck throughout the season, and there are already other big names being thrown around as potential candidates. Casey Connie is one of the drivers who has been heavily rumored to make an appearance in the program. Like Stewart, Connie has strong ties to the manufacturers involved, and his Truck Series record is absolutely incredible. In 6 career Truck Series starts, he has 5 wins and 1 second-place finish. Connie hasn't raced in the Truck Series since 2015, but he did make a return to NASCAR last year with a single Xfinity Series start. So clearly he's keeping his racing skills sharp and could be ready to jump back into a truck at some point during the 2026 season. Now, while Stewart is preparing for his return to NASCAR competition, he recently made some comments that are worth discussing because they shed light on how the sport has evolved over the years. In a recent interview, Stewart talked about the changing relationship between top-level stock car racing and dirt track competition. For those who don't know, Stewart is a huge advocate for dirt racing. He owns several dirt track facilities and has always maintained his roots in that side of motorsports, even as he achieved incredible success in NASCAR. Stewart reflected on his time driving for Joe Gibbs Racing in the Cup Series. He spent 10 of his 17 Cup Series seasons with that team, and according to Stewart, Joe Gibbs absolutely hated it when he would go race outside of the Cup Series. Gibbs was one of those owners who wanted his drivers focused exclusively on NASCAR and didn't want them taking any unnecessary risks by competing in other forms of racing. It was a pretty common attitude among team owners at that time. But things have changed quite a bit since then. Stewart pointed to Ty Gibbs, who is Joe's grandson and currently competes full-time in the Cup Series. Ty has been allowed to race sprint cars and midgets alongside his NASCAR commitments. He even made his Chili Bowl debut last year, which is one of the premier dirt racing events in the country. This represents a massive shift in philosophy from where things stood during Stewart's time with the team. Stewart takes some pride in the fact that he helped break down those barriers. He believes that his willingness to compete in multiple disciplines and his success across different forms of racing helped change the minds of team owners. Ken Schrader was another driver who helped pave that path before Stewart came along, and together they showed that racing outside NASCAR could actually benefit drivers rather than hurt them. However, Stewart also made some pointed observations about the current state of driver development in American motorsports. He noted that in the early days of racing, it was common for drivers to participate in all different disciplines. They would race on dirt tracks, paved ovals, road courses, wherever they could find competition. That diversity of experience helped create well-rounded drivers who could adapt to different situations. But according to Stewart, that's not really how things work anymore. He specifically mentioned IndyCar as an example of a series where drivers follow very structured and disciplined development paths. Young drivers who have their sights set on IndyCar follow a specific ladder system, progressing through various levels of open-wheel competition. And dirt racing doesn't fit into that path. Tony Stewart recently made a quiet but important point about how NASCAR has changed. He said dirt racing no longer really fits into NASCAR's driver development system. That matters because Stewart grew up racing on dirt and believes today's drivers are missing valuable experience. What he is saying is simple. NASCAR is now very structured and business-focused. Young drivers follow one clear path from late models to ARCA, then trucks, Xfinity, and maybe Cup. Racing dirt is often discouraged because teams and sponsors worry about injuries. That was not how NASCAR started. Many of the sport's greatest drivers learned on dirt tracks, where cars slid, tracks changed every lap, and drivers had to adapt fast. Stewart racing at Daytona on February 13th is a reminder of that old-school era. He represents a time when drivers raced anything, anywhere. Fans can watch the race on Fox Sports 1 at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Win or lose, seeing Tony Stewart back on track brings back what NASCAR used to stand for.